In Arkosa, you'll be developing your bunker and recruiting unique colonists. You'll then have to keep your population happy, fed, rested, and breathing. However, the planet won't make it easy for you. There'll be regular attacks from the resident hostiles to contend with, plus a whole bunch of unique events that can occur to your intrepid explorers while they're out in the wastelands. In order to claim victory, you'll need a well-organised, productive and happy bunker. But only one colony will win the grand prize, a ticket off the planet. Players compete to have the most reputation points at the end of the game. To get these points, the main things players will be doing are recruiting colonists, building rooms, keeping their colony happy, and making bribes. There are other ways to score points too, just look for the numbers in a yellow diamond. The game takes place over 3 gameplay rounds, with one initial setup round where players set up their bunkers. In this video, we'll teach the regular bunker setup, but if it's your first game of Arkosa, we recommend using the starter setup. For full details of the starter setup, refer to the rulebook at toonhammer.com/arkosa-game. First, determine which player gets the first player token. This will be the last player to have been stranded on an alien planet. Failing that, you could roll the numbered dice to see who goes first. Starting with the player with the first player token and proceeding clockwise, each player chooses a bunker board. Choose from the boards available over here and place your choice in front of you with the B side facing up. Each bunker has different starting rooms and available bonuses, so bear that in mind when making your choice. After all players have picked their bunker board, pass the first player token to the next player in clockwise order. Starting with the player with the first player token and proceeding clockwise, each player then chooses a colony leader. Choose from the boards available over here and place your choice in front of you. Each leader starts with different resources, a unique morale value, and has access to a unique trade that they can do once per round. Once you've chosen your leader, put one of your coloured cubes on the morale track according to your starting morale value. Put your other coloured cube on your colony leaderboard in this position here. Look at what resources your leader starts with and adjust your counters appropriately. Take any power shards you start the game with from the general supply. Place your coloured numbered disc on this space here on your bunker board and place your other disc on space 20 of the reputation track. After all players have picked their colony leader, pass the first player token to the next player in clockwise order. Starting with the player with the first player token and proceeding clockwise, each player now chooses a unique room to add to their bunker. You can use this special guide here to find out what each room does and make your choice. Once you've chosen, take your choice of room and put it on the star symbol space of your bunker board. Then, take 3 power shards from the general supply and place them next to each of your starting rooms with the shard symbol face up. Then, pass the first player token one more time. Next, players will draft their founding colonists. Each player draws 4 cards from the A colonist deck. From those 4, choose one to keep and pass the rest in clockwise order. With the cards received, do the same thing and continue this process until each player has drafted 4 colonists. These colonists make up your starting hand of cards and are kept private for now. Bunker setup is now complete and we can begin the first round of the game. Each round of Arkosa has 6 phases in the following order: preparation, player actions, rations, morale points, room production, and rest colonists. Let's look at the preparation phase first. In the preparation phase, the game board is set up for the upcoming round. This includes drawing new colonists, drawing new room tiles, refreshing the trade pool, moving the round tracker, and passing the first player token. In round 2 of the game, you also draw new bribe cards. Refer to the quick guide sheet to tell you exactly what to do in the preparation phase of each round. Player actions make up the bulk of the game. Starting with the player with the first player token and proceeding clockwise, players take it in turns to take 2 actions each. You can use your coloured numbered disc to track how many actions you've taken. Player actions continue until all players have decided to pass. A player will pass either because they've run out of things to do or simply do not want to take any more actions. Once a player has passed, they cannot take any more actions this round. Your colony leaderboard tells you the actions that are available to you. Let's take a look at these actions in more detail. To put a colonist to work, play a colonist card from your hand to the table. Each colonist will have different options of what they can do. Pictures of resources show what the colonist can produce, and pictures of backpacks show that the colonist can explore. If a colonist has a name with star symbols around it, this means that they have special rules or actions. Use the quick guide sheet to find out more about a special colonist. Once you have used a colonist, place them face up on the resting left side of your bunker board. If your colonist is injured while completing their action, place them face up on the injured right side of your bunker board. There are 3 different backpack symbols. If your colonist has one of these, you can use them to explore. Exploring allows you to gain resources or recruit new colonists into your bunker. Follow these steps in this order when sending your colonist out exploring. First, declare your explorer's target location. To travel to a zone, the colonist must have one of the pictured backpack symbols. Next, move the exploration track marker the number of spaces stated. Some spaces on the exploration track have immediate effects and some are blank. If you land on a space with an event card, you must immediately resolve that type of event. The player to the right of the active player will read this out. If the explore track marker ever moves over a raid event space, it immediately stops there and a raid event is resolved. Do not continue moving the marker any remaining spaces. After resolving any event, put the card in a discard pile. Once you have resolved any effects on the exploration track, pay any food and/or nitrogen costs, then gain the colonist or resources. In this example, the player would gain this colonist card. Colonists gained during an explore action are placed straight into the player's hand unless an event says otherwise. If an event was resolved during your explore action, you have the option to change your mind on the target location. For example, perhaps the event resolved lost you a food resource and now you can't afford to go to your intended location. If this was the case, you could choose any location that requires the exploration track marker to move the same amount of spaces or fewer. Do not move the exploration track marker again. Pay the food and/or nitrogen costs, if any, for the new location, and receive the colonist or resources for that location instead. Whenever a new colonist is recruited through exploring, move any colonists above the vacated location down the path following the arrows. Draw a new colonist face up to the Wanderer's Path location. If it is round 1, draw the new card from the A colonist deck. If it's round 2 or 3, draw the new card from the B colonist deck. Let's take a moment to look at the factory location. When exploring this location, there is no cost and the exploration track marker does not move. Simply roll the resource dice and receive the outcome of the roll. If you roll an injury symbol, no resources are gained, and instead your exploring colonist is injured. Whenever a colonist is injured, place them face up on the right-hand side of your bunker board. Players cannot trade with other players, but they may use an action to swap their resources with resources from the general supply. They can carry out any of the common trades pictured at the bottom of the game board. They may do the same type of common trade multiple times in one action, but different types of trades count as separate actions. This trade allows a player to trade 1 nitrogen or 1 food for 1 scrap. This trade allows a player to trade 1 nitrogen and 1 food for 1 mag tape. This trade allows a player to trade 1 nitrogen for 1 food or vice versa. However, you may only do this trade within the trade pool space, not from the general supply. The resources must be available here in order for you to trade back and forth between them. This trade allows a player to trade 1 nitrogen or 1 food to resolve 1 Dr. Sawbones event. This is one of the ways that you can heal an injured colonist. When resolving a Dr. Sawbones event, follow the instructions. Not all cards will result in a successful heal. You'll need to draw a card with this symbol on for the heal to be successful. When healing a colonist, always move them from the right-hand side of your bunker board to the left-hand side of your bunker board. Do not put them back into your hand of cards unless otherwise stated. Players also have the option to carry out their colony leader's special trade. Special trades cannot be done multiple times in one action and are only available once per round. Once you have carried out your special trade, move the special trade marker from the left space to the right space to show that it has been used. At the start of the next round, you will move the marker back to the left space to show that this trade is once again available. Players can use an action to build one of the rooms available on the production line. Simply pay the appropriate resources and add the room to your bunker. When a room is purchased, move the remaining rooms along the production line according to the arrows and draw a new one from the room tile bag. Most rooms have a cost made up of scrap and or mag tape, but there are a few rooms that can be built for free. Bunkers must be built from the top down. There must be a room above the location of your new room in order for you to build there. You may overbuild on previously existing rooms, but keep in mind any point scoring rooms that are covered up will not score at the end of the game. Each empty space on your bunker board has a bonus for the room you build there. This will either be a placement bonus or production bonus. Resources or points that appear in the middle of a space are placement bonuses. They are immediately gained when the room is first built. For example, building a room here would gain you 1 scrap. Resources that appear underneath a space can be gained during each room production phase, but only if the type of room built matches the type displayed before the bonus. We'll talk a bit more about these bonuses later. Each bunker board has a space that will double the production of the room built there. However, this bonus will not apply to all types of room. If a room has this symbol, it means the double production bonus will not apply. In the second and third rounds of the game, the Make a Bribe action becomes available. At the start of round 2, a certain amount of bribe cards will be put out here, depending on the player count for your game. Bribe cards give you the opportunity to score extra points for leftover resources at the end of the game. If you have the resources, you will score the points on the card, but if you fail to complete the bribe, you will lose these points instead. To make a bribe, simply take one of the available face-up cards and place it face-up in front of you. This type of action can only be done once per turn. When a bribe card is taken, do not draw a new one to replace it. Once a player has taken 2 actions, they must check to see if they have exceeded their maximum population of 6 colonists. If they have, they must exile colonists until they're down to their limit. When you exile a colonist, remove the card from the game and pay the appropriate penalty. Lose 1 morale if you exile a colonist from your hand or from the resting side of your bunker board. If you exile a colonist from the injured side of your bunker board, lose 1 morale and 1 reputation. After the player actions phase, the rations phase takes place. Each round, your colony will demand food to eat and nitrogen to breathe. To avoid your colony becoming unhappy, you will need to pay 1 food and 1 nitrogen for every 2 colonists, rounded up. Your bunker will lose 1 morale for every pair of colonists that do not get rations. Rations are resolved in player order and are always optional. Let's use this opportunity to look at the morale track. The morale of each player's bunker is tracked here. Players cannot share the same morale track space. Whenever you gain or lose morale, add or subtract each morale point 1 step at a time. If you move up into a space occupied by an opponent, move the opponent's marker down 1 space. If you ever exceed the maximum amount of morale on the track, add the excess to your reputation points instead. If you move down into a space occupied by an opponent, move the opponent's marker up 1 space. If you ever move below the minimum amount, subtract the excess from your reputation points instead. After the rations phase, morale points for the round are scored. Add or subtract reputation points from each player as indicated by their space on the morale track. The 5th phase of the round is room production. During this phase, your bunker will produce the resources depicted on the bottom left of each powered room. Don't forget to include bonuses if applicable. A room will only activate if it has a working power shard connected to it. If it has a power shard, but the shard is broken, the room must be fixed. Instead of gaining the resources indicated, flip the power shard back over onto the powered side. Room production is carried out in player order. Each player may choose the order in which their rooms activate. Power shards you own can be added to your bunker at any time, even in the room production phase. So, if you produce a power shard during room production, you could plug it in straight away in order to activate another room. There should always be a built room where the power shard is placed, and once a power shard is in position, it cannot be moved. You may choose to replace a broken power shard with one from your supply to ensure the room activates during the room production phase. However, if you do this, the broken power shard must be returned to the general supply. The final phase of the round is rest colonists. Each player picks up any colonists on the resting side of their board and puts them back in their hand. Colonists on the injured side must stay where they are. If you want to use an injured colonist in subsequent rounds of the game, then you must heal them before this phase. And that concludes how a round of Arkosa plays out. There will be different preparation phases at the start of each round, so make sure you refer to the quick guide sheet when carrying out that phase. This is particularly important when you get to round 2, because this is when the bribe cards come into play. Also in round 2, B colonists and B rooms become available. There is a reminder up here on the round track about when this happens. The game ends after the room production phase in the final round. At this point, scoring occurs. Add on the following points to each player's current position on the reputation track. Score points for the rooms that you have built. Any room you have covered up by another won't score. Rooms do not have to be powered to score. Next, score points on the colonist cards you have, whether they're injured or not. However, subtract 1 point for each colonist that is injured. Next, score points on any successfully completed bribe cards. For failed bribes, subtract these points instead. Make sure to subtract the resources used for each successful bribe from your totals. Finally, score points for any leftover resources. Score 1 point for every 2 nitrogen, food or scrap you have remaining. Score 1 point per mag tape you have left. And score 2 points for each power shard you have left over in your supply. The player with the most reputation points is the winner. Their colony is successfully rescued from Arkosa. If there is a tie, it is broken by the player with the highest morale. And that concludes how to play Arkosa. If you have any further questions, make sure to check out the complete rulebook at toonhammer.com/Arkosa-game.